Oh. Hello, everybody. We have a very special story here. I couldn't. Hold on. I got a message.
I just want to let you know that I already recorded reading some short stories yesterday, and I titled that new series that I'm going to be doing stories and stuff, Story Time, but I'm not going to be posting that video for like a few days, so I just wanted to let you know. I see that you named your story.
Oh.
I just want to let you know that I wasn't stealing your idea, that I actually did my
Oh.
yesterday, so just so you know.
No, that's fine. Everybody, a lot of people title it story time. We can do the same thing, or I can change mine. It doesn't matter. So yeah, it doesn't matter. Oh, no private stuff shown. I don't know. I just titled it that. We'll wait for maybe a couple more people to come. It's the same thing as my name. My channel's name is Michelle Creates. There's also something with Sierra Creates, and I forgot her channel was Sierra Creates, and I was gonna change it to something. Oh, no problem, Danielle. No problem. I can call it Michelle Reads. That's what the channel used to be. I'm just combining all my stuff all into one channel. Of course, Michelle Reads never happened. Yep. Just waiting for a little bit. Just a couple minutes. Oh, excuse me. So, in other words, you had the name first. So, I got an idea. You can't do it. Let's. Oh, you know. I know. No, it's no problem. I think you told me that it was story time. You were gonna call it story time. So in other words, I stole it from you. How about this? I got a good word. Shelley. There we go. No, you told me that it was story time. I didn't know what to call the live stream, so I just said it. All right, there's 3 people here. So this is how I did it. I went to the video that you sent me, Danielle. I took a picture of every single one. It took twice because it didn't. I had to wait till it clears, and also do a quick pause it quick enough before you went on to the other one. And let me tell you, there was like at least 10 times where I had to go back. So I'm just double checking I can actually read the words. I think most of them I can. Yeah, I can do that. Oh, okay. Is everybody ready for this awesome book? One of three. I have the video saved on my Kindle, so get it again. Short story, yes. It's like one chapter of a big book. So, yeah, this is a short story. It's the best ones. Short stories. A minute ago, I went out. I looked outside all areas. Didn't find nothing. All of a sudden, my house. I heard a bang. And my house shook. I don't know what to make of it, but I just hope nothing happened. It could be cannons. I don't know. All right, let's start. This is called Life by Danielle Jolly Corbin. Yes, the Danielle's Corner. I did fart, but that was not me. You- uh, this is called Life. Yes, or no. Good. Danielle did write it. And did you publish this one, Danielle? I wonder if my sister can print this out for me. Everything is copyrighted and being published. Oh, all right. So I have your permission. I didn't ask the other people if I could read their books, but I never got copyrighted yet. Okay. So YouTube, Danielle's Corner is the author of this, and she said I can read it. Oh, come on, Michelle. Now, do Life by Danielle. Daniel Daniel was sitting in his study when he received a call that would utterly change the rest of his life. Early in the evening, he had gotten a horrible feeling in his gut over a news breaking event. While eating dinner, a newscaster had interrupted Daniel's show by going live to the scene of a devastating accident. Traffic was congested for miles. Mm-hmm. Drunk driver, a drunk driver operating an 18-wheeler was speeding down the local highway when things went wrong. The operator of the 18-wheeler crossed the yellow line, according to on-scene witness, and tried to avoid hitting an oncoming vehicle. In doing so, he caused his big rig to jackknife through an intersection. There were 7 vehicles, including the rig, involved in the accident. So far, the only fatalities were the driver of the silver minivan and the driver of the 18-wheeler, who had a heart attack shortly after the paramedics arrived at the scene. Daniel knew that Emily would be. Daniel knew that Emily would be driving through that mess to get home from work. Anticipating she would end up being late, he put her dinner meatloaf, twice baked potatoes, and asparagus with almonds in the oven. He reached over and turned the TV off, went to his room to change into more comfortable clothes, and retired to his study. Work would now accompany the rest of the evening. His high school literature students were getting antsy for the return of their book reports, and several were eager to see perhaps a passing grade. Daniel figured now was a good time to grade them, knowing that after Emily got home, he would have no opportunity to work, or he would end up pulling an all-nighter. For as long as he could remember, she always talked his ear off when she got home from work about her day adventures or lack thereof. Emily was a grief counselor at the local animal hospital, a job never left her in short supply of stories. She would always relive her day's events, then inquire about his own day's happenings. She, she loved hearing about all the interesting things his students said or did. These daily exchanges had been known to last for hours. After having settled into his favorite red Italian leather chase, he tried to get down to the business of those book reports, but for some reason he kept thinking about the accident on the news. It felt as though he had a look. I cannot make out that word. Is that ice? No, I think that's IE. I don't. Can you help me out, Daniel? Danielle. Leading. Oh, leading. So thank you. It felt as though he had a lead in. Leading golf ball string in the pit of his stomach. Perhaps he should call her and give her a heads up on the traffic situation. Maybe if he caught her in time, she could find an alternate route home and avoid all the chaos. Reaching into his black leather briefcase, he retrieved his what? Chocolate covered cell phone and dialed her number. After having rung enough to engage her voicemail, he decided to leave a message. Hanging up, he felt ill at ease. She should be heading home now. Perhaps she had a late meeting. Deciding on getting a rum and coke to settle his nerves, Daniel resumed artist. Sometimes I hate reading because then I can't. ARDUOUS. I'm sorry. Is it Ados? Ados? Adus?
just arduous, the arduous task.
Arduous. Thank you. um, Arduous task he had so much trouble concentrating on. His nerves had somehow managed to get the better of him just because of that news report. He attributed his large-size alcoholic drink to that fact. Empty glass sitting on the side table and book reports scattered all over the floor. He had allowed himself to succumb to the effects of, oh wow, his fifth rum and coke. He no longer was pestered with uncontrollable thoughts that the news broadcast left playing in his mind, nor was he able to resist the sweet bliss of much needed sleep. The rum and coke had kicked his already active imagination into overdrive, and he needed relief, like a child needs their blankie. He was dreaming of a beautiful red-headed coworker. The ring of the house phone interrupted his hazy bliss. Looking briefly at the antique clock on the wall, he noticed he had been sleeping for quite some time. It was already after midnight. Why hasn't Emily awakened him when she had gotten home? He answered the phone. At the same time, the uneasy feeling hit him in the pit of his stomach again. Who in the world would be calling this late at night? And why didn't Emily turn off the lights before she went to bed? Danielle, it's me, Astash. Came his only brother's voice. Stash didn't sound like his normal cheery self. He sounded like he had been crying. Daniel sat down on the chase, trying to ignore the ever-growing nervousness in his stomach that had grown now to the size of an orange. I know this isn't a social call at 12:36 in the morning, so what's wrong, Stash? Daniel, I've got some very bad news. Have you been watching the television at all? You mean the coverage of that bad accident on the highway that they are talking about on every channel? He rolled his eyes. Yes, big brother. I've seen some reports. Why? There was a slight pause. Then he heard Stash sigh. I'm at the hospital right now. Sharon and I were on our way home when we got a call from Aunt May. Sharon and Stash had been married for 8 years now, and Daniel really liked her. Aunt May was Emily's only sister. What the heck was that? Sorry. She was a local paramedic. Not liking the turn this conversation was taking, he wearily pushed on. What did Aunt May want so late at night? Shouldn't she be at work right now? The uneasy feeling in his stomach was now reaching epic proportions. Stash said in a husky voice on the verge of tears. The accident involved. Standing up, Daniel finally lost it. Shut up. Shut your filthy mouth. Don't you dare finish that sentence, Stash. He knew it couldn't be true, even if a voice in the back of his head was saying that in all prob all right, I know this word. Probability, this was his worst nightmare coming to life. Dropping the phone to the floor, he ran out the front door to the driveway to see if Emily's car was there. Her SUV was nowhere in sight. That didn't mean anything, he hastily thought. Perhaps she'd had car trouble and had gotten a ride home. Yeah, that was it. She had gotten a ride home. No, she'd gotten a ride from a friend, and upon arriving home, she had seen him asleep, so had decided not to disturb him, had left the lights on for him when he awoke, and had gone to bed. Running back through the door, he sprinted up the stairs, taking two at a time, rushing into her room. The first thing he noticed was that her bed was still made. His mind snapped at the realization, yet a small part of him did not want to surrender to the inevitable just yet. Running through the house, searching every room, he screamed her name like a madman. Emily! Emily! If you're here, answer me. Finally, he made his way back to his study and collapsed on the plush beige carpeting next to the phone. He could hear Stash yelling for him on the line. Tentatively, he put the receiver to his ear. Through gut-wrenching sobs that had all of a sudden taken over his body, he said, Stash, she's not here. She never made it home. I had a bad feeling something was wrong, and I had an even worse feeling it had to do with that damn accident. She isn't doing good, Daniel. She's in a coma and bad off. Doctors say she had a punctured lung, several broken bones, and severe brain trauma, he said consolingly. Silence filled the phone for a few seconds, and Stash uttered the words that would change the course of the rest of Daniel's life. Daniel, they say that she's hemorrhaging badly and they don't think she's going to make it through the surgery. Daniel slammed the phone down on the receiver. How could this be happening, he thought, losing control of his untamed emotions. He started knocking over everything in sight and throwing against the wall anything he could get his hands on. This pain was too much to bear. He felt as though his insides were being ripped out, while his heart was breaking into a million pieces. The only woman in his life who had ever meant anything to him was going to be dead in a matter of hours, and he could do absolutely nothing about it. He had never felt such an overwhelming feeling of helplessness in his entire life. Wow. Danielle, wow. Oh, yeah, that's an H. Okay. His mind was in total turmoil, and he needed more than anything just a little bit of clarity. Heading back over to the little bar that accompanied a corner of his study, he poured himself a tall glass of rum. Oh, he drank his way to sanity like a man on a mission. Filling his sixth tall glass of rum, he decided to drink away his pain or die in trying. Polishing off an entire bottle of rum and getting ready to put a hurting on an unsuspected bottle of vodka, he heard the phone ring. No, he wasn't going to answer it. It was only going to be Stash. He was in no mood to hear any words of compassion. Stash had had time to process the matter, and now he needed time to do the same. Hugging the bottle of vodka to his chest like a life vest, he abandoned the use of a glass and headed to his much-loved chase to drink himself into oblivion. Hey, Katie, how are you? Thank you for coming. Danielle wrote this story. Around 8 o'clock that morning, he was roused by someone viciously shaking him. Through squinting, blurry eyes, he saw Stash crouched over him, looking like Stash had been crying all night. He tried to rouse Daniel to awareness. Then Daniel realized why, and all of the pain came rushing back. This time it was worse than before. He knew Stash would not have left the hospital unless Emily had died. Feeling like the world was coming to an end, he turned over and vomited all over a mound of book reports. He had lost his chance to say goodbye to her before she died. He had decided to take the coward's way out of a sticky situation and drink himself into Neverland instead of facing the issue head on. Nothing was ever going to be the same anymore. Stash helped Daniel get to his feet and up to the bathroom to shower and make himself somewhat presentable. Sharon stayed in the study trying to clean up vomit and put the room back into some sort of order. When Daniel and Stash walked into the kitchen, she was standing at the window looking into the flower bed in the backyard. She turned when she heard them enter. I remember how excited Emily was when she planted those flowers. Never thought she had a green enough thumb to keep them living. I have I have a brown thumb. Here, 2 years later, they are still growing strong. Stifling? Does that say stifling? I can't. That's the only thing about taking pictures of words. I saw. Oh, sniff. Oh, is it called sniffling? No, stifling. A sob, she said. I've made some coffee, and Daniel, you sure could use a cup to sober you up. Stash is going to need you now more than ever. After about an hour time, she had managed to pump Daniel full of about as much black coffee as he could stand. Around the kitchen table, they made phone calls to family and friends, notifying them of Emily's death and the upcoming funeral. They had decided on having it as soon as possible, which, according to the funeral director they talked to over the phone, would be the day after tomorrow. Wow, that was quick. The three then drove to the funeral home to go over all the arrangements. The entire day, as well as the next, was a. He really didn't even know exactly how he managed to get through it at all. Sitting in the front pew at the funeral, he was flooded with memories of Emily as he sat staring at her, motionless, in her satin linen coffin. Calling her Emily was one of the things he thought about. She was a very up-to-date woman who held her age as though it was some sort of government secret. she, she thought that if Danielle and Staj called her Emily, it would make her appear younger. She was always there for them whenever they needed her, no matter what the situation. When their father died 6 years prior from a heart attack, she made it her goal to get them through the hard times and the pain, never once abandoning them. Oh, so Emily is his sister. After everyone had said their farewells and paid their respects, they all started to head out of the church to make their way to the gravesite for the final service. That ceremony lasted an hour and was beautiful. Dozens and dozens of her favorite flowers, yellow roses and pink tulips, adorned her casket and the area surrounding it, as well as other flowers that had been brought by the many mourners in attendance. Other funerals was happening at the same time at 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 the cemetery. So leaving after the service was a bit of a time-consuming task. Sitting all alone in the Jeep Cherokee that Emily had bought him for his 25th birthday last year, he thought about his life now without her in it. He drove slowly, not too much because of the congestion in the cemetery, but because he dreaded going home. He wanted to rewind time back to when he had first become a teacher, returning from his first ever teachers convention. He wanted to be in his antique Mustang racing home like lightning straight into her welcoming arms, back to a time when the world seemed right and the only love of his life was still alive and thriving. Back to when he always felt safe and secure. She would always be there waiting for him no matter what. She was always there with open arms and an angelic smile, flowing unconditionally love, and he adored her for it. No, he must get a grip and move on with his life. He must face reality whether he wanted to or not. Stop dwelling on what was in what could have been and deal with what is and what will be. He must leave her final place of rest like all the other mourners, deal with his anger and pain of losing her like so many other people do every day. Each second that passes, he must remind himself that his mom in a better place now. Oh, that was his mother? That I love that story, Danielle. Oh, that was his mom. Okay. Wow, Danielle. You should put out more stories. And tomorrow we'll do the other story. What's the other story's name? Thank you so much, Danielle. I almost called you Daniel. Thank you so much, Danielle, for writing this and allowing me to read it. Oh, that's not water. That's not water. This is water. Mm-hmm. Yes. By him talking, I thought he was talking about a sister or a daughter. Oh wow, that was a good story. Yes. Mm. So that is gonna be it for now. I'm gonna go get dressed. I'm gonna go outside and just look around what those big bangs was. It's like it shook my house. You heard it during the reading, I think. There you go. Okay, I'm gonna go. Like I said, I'm gonna go. Yeah. Do you think it could be cannons? They were never that loud. I'll call you. Okay. So I'll see you guys later. Love, don't judge. Peace out. Thank you, Danielle.